All right, let's see. Okay, so we are officially live here. It is your brother, your brozo, um, aka Muzosa Ankhet. And today we have a very, very, very special guest, a long-term friend, an amazing individual, and one of the individuals that helped me get on my path to health. Um, Before I introduce his greatness, I'll remember y'all, please, if you get a chance, go to yourbrozo.com, pick up my book, Bicultural Living and Leaving the World of Illusions. And I just talking about my experience growing up in life, becoming aware of self, traveling the world, and starting to make sense of all of this stuff. Start to break free from the matrix. All right. So please also subscribe and follow if if you're watching. Um and I always like to say the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast is it's all about the people that get it. When I say that, I don't care who it is, I don't care about what race you are, what gender you are, what sex orientation. I don't care about any of that. If you get it, you get it in this critical day and time, and like minds, need to come together and help elevate each other on this planet. Okay. So, in saying all that, I now want to introduce my big brother, Dr. Jason Regis, and I'm going to go ahead, like I do all my guests. I'm going to go ahead and let them explain who exact. I mean, go ahead and let you explain who you are, and anything else you want to tell folks. The stage is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that, Brother Zoser. My name is Dr. Jason Regis. I'm a chiropractor, health coach. My history was working as a personal trainer and a physical therapist before I got into this great field of chiropractic. Chiropractic, you know, encompasses so much. It talks about being aware and breaking free of the matrix, like brothers talk about, and it's the way that health is commonly perceived, by most people as doctors need to fix themselves, fix them, and really, what holistic healthcare and chiropractors is, we release the inherent powers of the body so it can heal itself. The body's a lot smarter than we give it credit for, and by removing subluxations, which are bones out of place interrupting the nerve flow, we are able to help the information get to the body and the organs and help it express its maximum health. And so I have a lot of experience in this field. I've been chiropractic for 12 years. What's different about the way that I practice chiropractic is by really blending in all of my background with personal training, physical therapy, because after all, the muscles drive the bones. And so by having the muscles addressed and giving people homework, and again, it's why we empower people here and we call people team members. We don't call them patients, because I'm not going to make you better. We're going to make you better, but you're along a big part of the process as well. So by empowering you to do your own exercises, drink your water, stretch, daily exercise, meditate, good nutrition, all those things are factors that help with your health and help you maximize your full potential.
All
One
right, and I'm gonna tell a quick story because Dr. Jason was actually truly fundamental in me getting my health. Because like I think I was talking my last podcast, I was talking about how there's a certain time in which I thought I was doing right. I'm eating burger every night. Have my little Kroger salad. Drinking my Hawaiian punch, and eating a half gallon of ice cream, and and I think I'm doing straight until arthritis hit me, and I had to go down a journey of self healing. Now that was the herbal aspect of it, but see, once I met Dr. Jason, when he laid me on that table and started adjusting me, and the way I felt afterwards, my whole life changed. And I'm gonna tell you something, because it wasn't just his adjustment; it was his overall knowledge of just the human body. Because, and he'll remember this. Um, I had a karate tournament.
Mm.
I had a karate tournament down in Claxton, Georgia. It's the fruit bread uh, uh, capital of the world or something like that. So I went in there and I fought. I won the tournament, but I got drilled. In the competition, got nailed with a right hand. And I went back to trying to go back to training. I was feeling kind of crazy, for a while. you know, and I went to Dr. Jason to get adjusted, and I told him how I was feeling. He was just like, "Yeah, you got a concussion." You know what I'm saying? and you know, and like I knew I got hit hard, but I didn't think that I had. But once he started talking about the symptoms and going breaking it down, and I'm sitting there just thinking about how he know all this, and he's a chiropractor. He's supposed to be adjusting me and making but his wealth of knowledge, on every aspect. Actually, in addition to that, he told the one of the best ways how to work out, because he explained to me, and I still use this program today. He's explained
Mm.
to me like how the certain muscles work with certain areas. So you want to work with certain muscles when you work out in groups. I still remember that till this day, and I use that. But this brother got a wealth of knowledge. But let's so here's my thing. I know you kind of talked about like, how you got into it, but what brought you down that road? What were you like? When were you, what was the aha moment? When were you like, hey man, I really like this chiropractor stuff. I gotta, roll with it. What happened exactly to put you on this, on this journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the reality is, I didn't know what I was getting into completely, because I only had one adjustment, and I decided I wanted to be a chiropractor. Um, it starts off with being a high level athlete. I was a Division I football player, also was a lacrosse player, and played every sport. My father was a professional soccer player from Trinidad. So a long line of athletes, and I was playing football, and within 3 weeks of playing Division I football, I broke both my wrists. I tore both my hip flexors, the psoas muscle, which we'll talk a little bit about later. My brother Zoe knows about that one too. And then, yeah, I found my shoulders broken for a year. Um, and I tore ACL, meniscus in both my knees, ACL, meniscus, and the MCL. And yeah, that was all within 3 weeks. So I discovered physical therapy. And I was amazed that the physical therapists knew more about the body than the medical doctors did. And they were treating people without drug and surgery. Now, in saying all this, I have to let you know the background was that both my parents are medical doctors. My younger brother's a medical doctor. I joke with people and say I'm the smartest person in the family. But I remember being 18 years old and wanting to get ahead and looking at the physician's desk reference. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's the PDR for short, but it's a list of all the diseases that you have in the world, and then it tells you what drug to use, and then it tells you, how to solve that problem, the symptoms. Um, and after the symptoms and after the drug, they tell you you should also focus on diet and exercise. And what I started noticing was a lot of the symptoms were the same, whether it was nausea, fatigue, dizziness, loss of appetite, for almost every disease in there. And I said, well, how can you memorize all this? And then how can you discern it, exactly which disease it's from? So I had that in the back of my mind. But then I got introduced to physical therapy. And these guys were helping people walk again, helping athletes especially get better. Um, and so I really started diving into to finding out about physical therapy. I did research at NIH, was published there. Worked at National Rehabilitation Hospital in Washington, D.C., one of the top hospitals in the country. Um, and I was on my way to physical therapy school, was about to apply, had finished all my prerequisites at George Washington University from DC originally. And the physical therapist took me aside, and they there was three of them. They said, we want to talk to you after lunch, meet us in this room. And so, I thought I was in trouble. I was trying to figure out what I did wrong, because they always tell me what a good job I did. And so I go into this room and they say, hey, Jason, we know you love physical therapy. You probably could pass the test now without even going to school because we've taught you so much. But if we were you, we wouldn't do it. I said, yeah, because I've noticed a lot of changes had been happening with insurance companies. I When I first started getting interested in physical therapy back in 1995, for every one person that you saw, you have a whole hour to spend with them, teach them the exercises, help them with their stretches, their home care. Um, but eventually, the insurance companies felt and figured out that people could do these exercises by themselves. So I would spend a lot of time with them as a physical therapy aide, but the physical therapist would do ultrasound for 3 to 6 minutes, and then they just be doing paperwork. And I want to be more hands on. So when they told me that I shouldn't go into physical therapy, I said, okay, yeah, I understand that. And I said, what should I do instead? And I thought I was gonna say occupational therapy, and all three of them said, no, you should be a chiropractor. And frankly, I was offended. I was upset. I went home. I thought I had done something wrong. They wouldn't tell me what's wrong because they were just they were mad at me for some reason. But then about 3 weeks later, I woke up um, and couldn't get out of bed. And there was a personal trainer. I was actually the fitness director for number one spa in DC, and one of the Pilates instructors kept telling me, "Hey, you need to go see a chiropractor. Just meet my chiropractor. She was a physical therapist like you. Just go talk to her." And I was like, "No, whatever." Like a lot of people are, and some of you might listening might feel the same way now. Um, Chiropractor's chiropractor, and I didn't even know one. I didn't even know what one did, but there was a negative connotation about it. There wasn't, the access there is now through the internet, and there weren't places like the joint all over the place. But the point is that I woke up one morning, couldn't get out of bed. I went for my first massage ever, and it took the edge off, but the pain was still there. Now, mind you, when I say I couldn't get out of bed, I could not get out of bed. And I had played games with all those broken bones before. Actually, I broke my ribs and played a full game. So I said, let me go talk to this chiropractor. But that chiropractor's not going to touch me because they're crazy. They're quacks. So I went to talk to her, and while I waited, she had me read a book, and it's Dr. Angela Salcido was her name, and she had me read a book about how the muscles are attached to the bones, the nerves go through the bones, and if those things aren't communicating properly, then you're going to have a problem. And I said, wow, that makes a whole lot of sense. And if you can see in the background here, I have my chart of the nerves, the muscles, and the bones. They all work together. And then further along, I have the chart of spinal decay, which is in the corner, which shows what happens to the bones over time when those things aren't communicating properly. So anyway, she talked to me afterwards, and then she said, hey, do you want me to evaluate you? I said, yeah, you have the answers. It's obvious. So I went and got x-rays, found I had a double scoliosis. Actually fractures in my vertebrae in my spine. They were structurally changed. And then about a week after that, she gave me my first adjustment. It's probably the lightest adjustment I've ever had in my mid back, and all the pain went away, every single last bit of it. I didn't had a backpack in the office, and I left it in the office. I didn't want anything to mess up how good I was feeling. My shoe came untied. I wouldn't bend over. I wouldn't even raise my arms up to open the doors in downtown DC. I would just wait till somebody came in. I would slide through. And I was walking down the street after that, and I said, wow, if I can make people feel this good, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And so here we are.
Wow, I never heard that story, man. That's
Yeah.
I never heard about your, I never, heard about your first adjustment. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, exactly.
That's amazing, and truthfully told, that's kind of how I felt as well. The first time I had an adjustment, um, and I've been an advocate. I've been an advocate ever since. You know what I mean? Like people say stuff like, "Oh, you need to go." Oh no, they're gonna crack you up. They're gonna do this stuff. I said, "No, it's not a crack. It's an adjustment." You know what I'm saying? Since I started, he started telling me the terminology, so I started, setting the record straight.
Right,
But
right, exactly.
this, and he'll tell you, I brought a lot of clients to him just because that
Oh
first
yeah.
time clients, you know what I mean, that were like, no, I don't want to do it. People got the car wrecks, all that stuff. I was like, oh, you torn up? Oh, go see Dr. Jason. And
Mhm.
now, could you give like a brief history of chiropractic? Is this something that's an ancient art? Is it newer? Like, could you kind of, if you could like start from the beginning to the end?
Okay. So the very beginning, chiropractic was actually started in 1895. A lot of people think it's newer. It's been around. Actually, the first chiropractic adjustment was done on September 18th, 1895. Um, there was D.D. Palmer um, and B.J. Palmer's son. But anyway, the it started in Davenport, Iowa. There was a janitor in the building that had been deaf for 17 years. He was crawling through a small space, heard a little pop in his back, upper back actually, and lost his hearing. The founder of chiropractic had been studying bodies. His actually was a magnetic healer to start with. He started noticing that people with bumpy necks were more sickly. Bumpy necks meaning the bones out of place, these subluxations I'm talking about. So, and he knows the people that had smoother necks didn't have as many problems. They were healthier, no issues. And so this janitor that he knew was deaf was in his building, and he said, "Hey, let me check you out." So he palpated his neck, which means feeling the spine, and found his atlas was out of place. The atlas is the first bone in the body that sits underneath your occiput, your skull bone. So skull here, atlas here. The atlas is actually one of the bones that doesn't have a spinous process. And what's interesting is about the body is that this is your skull here, and this is actually your brain stem and cerebellum. So half the nerves of your brain, the whole brain, if you can imagine on top of this, are located right here in your cerebellum. Your balance centers, your pituitary glands, how your hormones are secreted, all play a factor. And so the first 4 years of chiropractic, all they did was adjust that top bone. The top three are so important, they call it the master switch. And so, time of chiropractic, palpate his neck, he actually moved the bone. There was a cavitation, which is what the layman, or you might call a crack, so to speak. And again, that crack is just air escaping from the joint. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little while. But the guy has hearing back. All the hearing came back. And so that's how chiropractic got started way back in 1895 and has progressed since.
Yeah, that's interesting, man, because it's interesting the different arts, you know what I mean? The different healing arts that is out there. And I'm gonna tell you another story. And it's a little different than chiropractic, but when I was in karate class one time, I kicked somebody and I kicked them wrong, and my big right toe, I'm telling you, Dr. Jason, it was torn up for at least, I'm saying 4 months at least, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guy came in, the teacher's there. He was a acupuncturist, one of the students.
Mm-hmm.
He's a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I told him my foot was hurt, right? He said, "All right, when you gonna be here next?" I said, "Next Thursday." He came in with his little kit and he started putting the pins in my foot, in that area. And I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
tell you, but this some blood, some Godzilla blood shot out. You know what I'm saying? This blood looked like something the gremlins were spitting at each other. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. That was the nastiest looking blood that I ever saw in my life. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Right then and there, my toe felt 100% better. And he was just breaking it down. He said there was a blockage and all this kind of stuff. The energy wasn't flowing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, like, I was. It's amazing how these arts that aren't mainstream are the ones that really get you what you look at, what get you straight. You know what I mean?
Right, right. Well,
It's amazing to me.
yeah, it's very interesting because that's why I like telling people how old chiropractic is, um, and even acupuncture is even older. Part of the story of me getting to chiropractic is when I knew I didn't want to become a medical doctor. I researched a lot. I researched osteopathy. I researched occupational therapy. I researched acupuncture. I just wanted to see even yeah, I mean, I looked at everything. Everything was a possibility. It was wide open. Um, and it was interesting because osteopathy And the osteopaths were actually the first doctors to move bones. Osteo means bone. H.E. Still founded that profession, and it was similar to chiropractic, designed to be used without drugs and surgery. Now, going back to history, what happened was, and this is one of the reasons why chiropractors and holistic practitioners are so serious about their craft, as well as keeping it safe, is because what happened with osteopathy was that they got a lot of people on the board that end up wanting to be medical doctors and to medicalize osteopathy. So they did in a weekend seminar was they had like a secret meeting. They changed all their DOs, doctors of osteopathies, got switched over by the medical board to MDs, and then they kicked the founder of the board, H.E. Still, founder of the profession, off the board. And then ever since then, it's become more medicalized. They teach moving the bones usually as an elective, if you want to do it at all, later on in the process of the schooling, of the education process. And so that's why they talk about the parable of a boiled frog. You don't realize if you change a little bit, the parable of a boiled frog is a frog in water. And the water is, cold room temperature. Frogs in there, but it's on a pot of water, and the water's getting hotter, and the water's getting more comfortable. Yeah, it's nice, but then by the time the it's boiling and the frog wants to get out, it's too late. So us as holistic practitioners really like to not go along with these the medical model of victimization, where you need a pill to fix you or you need somebody to fix you. Your body can do it itself, and it's really smart. And these practices have been around for a long time. I actually was deciding my top two choices was between acupuncture and chiropractic. I really wanted to do acupuncture. However, I felt people weren't as ready for the needles. And there was a great school back in DC that I could have gone to. I came down to Atlanta, to Life University. I always wanted to move here, and found the best school was here because they have the most hands-on practice. But I also found out that after you have those basic sciences, that you can go over to China and actually learn acupuncture in 6 months and get certified. So that was my plan, and I still, still in the back of my mind of going and completing that, because acupuncture and chiropractic work so nicely together. I kind of look at a couple different analogies. If your body is a house, then chiropractor is going to make your foundation good. Your foundation is going to be solid. The walls are going to be straight. Windows are going to be straight. You have a nice roof on there. Great. What acupuncture does is it makes sure all the inner workings. So you need furniture in the house. You need a lamp for lights. And those, where they talk about also the system of the meridians in the body. Another analogy is that if your body is a computer, then chiropractor makes sure that all the CPU is connected to the monitor, connected to the mouse, connected to the printer. So make sure everything's connected properly. But what if that computer has a virus? Acupuncture comes in and cleans out the virus and resets that system to the point where the body can heal better. And I always have better adjustments after I get acupuncture and vice versa. So it all works well together.
So, and you use the word holistic. You just used the word holistic earlier, and uh, I don't. From the majority of people that I'm just around, even people I don't know, just people you know that people that I know and people that are just around me. Um, I don't think a lot of people really know what holistic means. Could you please explain what a holistic lifestyle is and what the importance of it is?
Well, in my mind, you think holistic, you think whole body. Um, and, the body is, electrical circuit board. The parts don't work independently, they all work together. There's something called fascia in the body, which is all the connective tissue between the muscles and the organs. But when you talk about holistic, you talk about all natural healing. I always joke with people that talk about, they need aspirin. And I say, well, there's no, tree where there's aspirin pills, they drop off and they collect them. No, aspirin is actually the bark from a tree that they boiled, and that helped get rid of headaches. And so using your natural surroundings is also interesting about that story, is that all of our cures that we need are all around in our surroundings. I'm not sure how how many of you out there have heard of bee pollen and using honey for allergies? But you want to use, if you live in Georgia, you want to use the honey from Georgia. You don't want to use the honey from Alabama. So that's how it really makes sense. But living a holistic lifestyle involves taking care of your nutrition, taking care of your body, and doing whatever you can to help yourself to heal and put yourself in a better state to heal, whether that's drinking water, whether that's drinking alkaline water, green smoothies, all these things that can help reduce inflammation in your body, and really focusing on the causes of problems rather than the symptoms and addressing those. And yes, it does take a little more work to drink a gallon of water than to take a pill for aspirin. But you want to make the effort for the long-term effect of your not only your body and your how you work externally, but internally, because we like to say in chiropractic, the body heals above, down, inside out. So from that brainstem we talked about, and then the expression of health outwards. And a lot of times those bones are out of place and they affect the nerves. That can affect how your organs function. It's kind of like a water hose and somebody stepping on it. That water is not going to be expressed properly. It might slow down, it might speed up, it might stop completely. And so that happens with your blood and your nerves. And so holistic, it's why I call my office called the Transformation Wellness Team. We have an acupuncturist. We even have mental health. We have a homeopath who does nutritional testing, and we have massage here as well. What's really important is that, anybody who knows about bodies will tell you, even the bodybuilders, the 85% of how they look is not all the time they spend in the gym or on that cardio equipment. It's what they're putting in their bodies. And so by having a holistic lifestyle, you're looking at your nutrition, you're looking at your internal workings of your systems, as well as your overall expression. And, I'm reading this book called The Biology of Belief right now, which talks, it really talks about, like, when we were talking about arthritis, how a lot of people believe that if my mother had arthritis or a bad back, I have to have a bad back. It's not the case. We really control our own destinies, and having a holistic lifestyle and seeking out holistic remedies is the best way to achieve that goal.
So, so it's like when it comes to what is because you just said you had a team, at your establishment. So for anybody watching it now, if you had to give them advice as far as what to focus on, to keep to keep their being intact and running as optimum, what would be like the bullet points, you know what I mean, for lifestyle changes, or you know what I mean? Like what should they, if they're not doing something before, what would you suggest an individual that wants to get a better lifestyle to get more healthy? Like what would be the bullet points? What would you say? A, B, C, and D. What would that be?
Great question. Great question. And it's interesting because over the past 4 months, and actually since COVID started, it's changed for me. Before I would have told you, and these also apply, but they're just now D and E as opposed to A and B. Before I would have told you, drink lots of water, get 8 hours of sleep, make sure you get adjusted and exercise. Now, those are all very important, very, very important. However, I would say number one would be taking care of your mental health, positive mental attitude. What I'm learning is that, and this is why I have mental health here, okay? Because if I can tell somebody what to do in terms of drinking the water, a stretch, come see me, and they're not doing those things, there's something in their programming that they're self-sabotaging themselves. I know a lot of you have friends like that. We all have that inside of us. So by really starting our day with some meditation and some manifesting and some quiet time, it really will help to make you more successful in whatever you're choosing, whether that's in your physical lifestyle, whether it's in a relationship with a person, whether it's at work. The science is showing that, as I say, 90% of your expression is not what happens to you, but your outlook on it, or how you perceive it and how you react to it as far as attitude goes. And now the studies are starting to show also that 5% of how you act, waking up saying, hey, I'm gonna have a great day, I'm gonna do this and that and that, that's only 5% of it. The 95% of it is actually run from your internal programming, whether that's from when you were a child, whether it's something a parent told you, a coach, something that you hadn't dealt with in the past. And so if you haven't really addressed that and put yourself mentally in a place to succeed, you're not going to be able to drink your water. You're going to reach for that Coke instead. You're not going to choose to go for that walk. You're going to sit down and watch Netflix. So starting with that really will start to tweak and make you make more better choices physically. So we'll talk about the positive mental mindset as a big part of that. And then the next part of that is sleep. Okay. Sleep is important because that's when your growth hormones is released. And that's the opposite of cortisol. Now, they say more than your family history, more than your diet, more than your exercise, how you handle stress is how it's going to determine how long you live. Cortisol will shrink your blood vessels, and that causes atherosclerosis, shrinking, and that's how heart attacks can happen. That's why you hear these perfectly healthy people sometimes dropping dead. It's because stress will do it. I've actually purposely designed my office to, this is the brightest it'll ever be. I had to brighten it up so you guys could see me, but I don't even have black filing cabinets. I have green and earth tones in here. We have candles, we have salt lamps. We have a room where you can just come and relax if you don't have an appointment, where our mental health specialist works. And she does NLP, neuro-linguistics programming, which helps to switch. Her name is Jan. So that's another big part of it is that the sleep, because sleep will help you get rid of the cortisol. Next, we'll talk about getting adjusted, and your physical body. The body's 75% water. Okay. And I like to tell people it's not 75% sweet tea or 75% Coke. And yes, if you put, lemon and water is good because that alkalizes. But if you change anything else, it's not the same structure as H2O. H3O is not the same thing as H2O. It doesn't bind. It's like trying to put a square peg into a round hole. So drinking the water is very important with that. But as the body goes, the systems all operate with that water. Your thirst and your hunger centers in your body are in the same place. Sometimes you think you're hungry, but you're really thirsty. And water helps eliminate the toxins from your body. And these days, we have so much toxicity, whether it's from electromagnetic stress, from the cell phones, from the computers, from the telephones, the AirPods that we put in, the AirPods, all those things factor to the pollution in the air, to the fact that the soil content is not what it used to be. Back in the 50s, let's say the soil content of the earth was 34 parts per billion. So that's the amount of minerals there in the soil. And we all need these minerals for digestion, for our hearts, for the way our bodies function. Now it's down to 6 parts per billion. So that means that even if you grow your own vegetables, you eat all these healthy foods, you're still not going to get the mineral content you need. So that's where the supplementation makes a big difference. And that's where our homeopath actually has a scan she does with your body. You hold these electrodes. It's about an $18,000 machine. And will tell you exactly what you're deficient in. To the point where what the probiotic that's good for Brother Zozer might be different than the probiotic that's good for me, that's good for my team member. And so that nutritional content, along with the water, is a big portion of that. And then the body has a feedback system where if you eat something, it goes to the stomach, and those nerves go back from the stomach to the spine. They did an autopsy on 275 bodies. People died from different organ deaths. And they traced it back from the organ of death back to the spine. And 273 out of 275 cases, there's a pinching of the nerve. Okay. And this was done by a medical doctor. This is not, something that chiropractors talk about. This is a chart of the autonomic nervous system. And you see all these nerves go from here all the way over to your heart, your lungs, your stomach. I myself was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, to the point where they thought I had appendicitis a lot of times. I noticed after I started getting adjusted, that those problems went away completely. You even notice everybody eats at the same restaurant, has the same dish, and only a couple people get food poisoning. That's because somebody's immune system is working better than the others. And when those bones are in place, your body works a lot better. So, and taking care of your structure, makes a big difference in how your body is expressed, and the body can heal itself. I've seen the longer I've done this, the more that I've seen from women who haven't been able to conceive or that have miscarriages. All those nerves to the pelvis come from the hips, and we all are sitting too much. So that's another factor that we talk about. And so aside from going down to the structure, we'll keep on going down to the muscular section. So stretching is really big. Those muscles drive the bones, and that's again why I have a lot of success. I don't just adjust the bones. I tell you what stretches attached to what muscles attach to those bones, so you can get the maximal output from it. So the muscles are huge. So a good yoga program is good. And when I say yoga, you don't have to put on tights. Okay, you don't have to wear a headband. You don't even have to get a mat. But there's one yoga by Adrienne that I like a lot. It's on YouTube. You don't have to go anywhere for it, especially if you're worried about COVID. But the point is that she has 14, 30, 40, 15-minute classes. It's a good way to have formalized stretching. And it also helps you with your breathing and your mindfulness as well. So that's really big. And then, again, acupuncture works with your internal programming as well. So you have your internal program for your mind, but then you have also internal systemic programming, like that virus in the computer I was talking about. To the point where if I have knee pain and I've gotten rid of the reason for knee pain, the knee is in place, I've strengthened the muscles around it, and the knee still have pain. What's happening is that the body can send the pain signals to the knee over and over again. So even after you remove the issue and the reason for the pain, the body will still do that. Acupuncture can go in and help you heal from that standpoint and stop that chemical response. So I think I hit it all. I hit the mental, I hit the physical, hit the water, hit the nutrition, and we all have it here at the team. And if not here, I can always help you find somebody. If you're in a different state, I have a few selected practitioners I trust that I can give you good recommendations for as well. The most important thing is you get the right care and start taking care of yourself.
Okay. Well, that definitely answered that. Now, your question that I had also, you brought up something that's we call it on this show we call it the Heebie-Jeebies. You know what I'm saying? The C word called the Heebie-Jeebies.
Okay, the
So
Heebie-Jeebies. Yeah, I like that.
yeah, the Heebie-Jeebies. So when
Don't get me started now.
You when you first started encountering the individuals that came in the office, and I'm sure a lot of these people had a lot of fear about uncertainty. um you know what I'm definitely interested in that. Could you kind of talk about what happened? You know what I mean? Like the experience you had with people, because you had to deal with the mind, like you said, their mental mindset. Maybe they didn't want people touching each other, and everybody was all crazy and nervous and all kind. Could you kind of talk about
Ooh.
that? You know what I'm saying? Because that interests me, because I already know it had to be something crazy. Because my chiropractor down on the south side, the one I was saying about when I
Mhm.
couldn't see you,
Yeah, yeah.
she was
Mhm.
like, it was like something like she's like, "Oh, you gotta stay outside because there's old people in here," and it was just like, "Oh, you gotta stay in your car." And when she touched you, it's like, you know what I'm saying? First off, could you kind of explain how that was and how it kind of changed into it is now, but also how you helped people get through it? You know what I mean? Because I know you do more than just hands on, and you got a team around you. Could you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it makes me think about something that I didn't bring up when you talked about, how I got into chiropractic. It really started back in undergrad, um, and it was so I have there's two books I'm writing. Okay, I can't tell you the first one because I know somebody's out there, but the second one I just came up with 2 weeks ago when they started divulging that some of their testing weren't as accurate as they said they were. The story's been changing a little bit. And in the first, couple months of COVID, if I had 30 people come to office, I had 30 different views of what it was, from eating bats to, population control. So it's very interesting to see that. Then it got down to like 7. Now it's back up to like 10 or 12. But I was a sociology major in college, also a chemistry major. I did a dual major or concentration, and my degree is in scientific thought. And the class was called History of Scientific Thought. And it studied the way people think about science throughout the world and paradigm shifts. Okay. And the easiest example to use is when they thought the world was flat. And, everybody didn't want to go too far because you're going to fall off the edge of the world. Then Columbus came and he, went and he kept going and he found America, we thought was India. Don't get me started on that one either. But then the whole paradigm changed. So the same thing I was hoping would happen with medicine a lot sooner, where people would realize, hey, these surgeries aren't helping. I wish I had a panel of people to answer this question, but I'm going to ask the question, I'll answer as well. But the reality is, and I ask people this a lot, is do they know how many of the medical procedures out there are actually researched? And I didn't say research be effective. I just said how many of the procedures are researched. And the answer is 10%. Okay. Only 10% of those things. And they're very invasive. Now, on the flip side, chiropractic, only 10% is also research, but we're not opening up. We're not taking the organs out. We kind of joke and saying that medical community believes that the body was made of too many organs and not enough drugs. They're always trying to take something out of you or give you some of those drugs. And and then there's side effects of those drugs also. Then you get another drug for the side effect and so on and so forth. One of the reasons why I believe my door is still open now is because I've always preached the wellness aspect of chiropractic. I don't want you coming here with any pain. Now, I'm still going to find things, but I also tell people it's kind of like, you don't want to wait till you have a cavity to start brushing your teeth, or to start flossing. You don't want to wait till you have a heart attack to start exercising. So I don't want you to come here with pain. I want to be a facilitator to your body's healing and keep it in its best position so those things don't happen. Because a lot of times what happens is we mask our pain, and there you have the opioid epidemic in America, or we ignore it and our pain tolerance goes up. And so then it doesn't register, and then something really bad happens. It's kind of like you have a wet spot in your ceiling and you see it getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what you can do is you can solve that symptom, that wet spot, by just putting some white paint over it, right? But then eventually the ceiling's going to fall in. Same thing with the check engine light in your car. If you have a check engine light on and it's blinking red, you can just put a black piece of tape over it. You won't see it anymore. That's what painkillers are to me. But eventually the engine's going to blow, something's going to happen. So I want to make sure that we see why the reason the check engine light is on, and we start addressing that. Whether that's an oil change, whether that's, hey, we'll try to alignment's off, or the ventilation system might be off. We want to look at all those things. And I've really preached wellness throughout the time, to the point where, with my children, their mother used to want to give them, Tylenol when they had a fever. And, I explained to her through our chiropractic school that, fever is not a bad thing. It's kind of like when you sterilize something before you use it. What a fever does, it makes the body uncomfortable, but it makes it hot, so it kills the virus. Okay, listen to what I said, virus, right? And I'm not saying Deltacron, Omicron, or Omadelta, whatever they're going to call it, okay, and whatever the variations are. We're just talking about a virus. Yes, and viruses can be dangerous. They can be dangerous for elderly people and people who are immune compromised. In my mind, that should be a motivating factor to stay more healthy, to make sure you're not in those groups. But if you look at history and, going back to, the book that I said I was going to write, it was going to be my perspective of this from a sociology chemistry major who's also a holistic practitioner. And, the reality with my kids, she would give me 36 hours. And if I couldn't reduce the fever in 36 hours by just adjusting them, then she would give them medication. Now, she never had to give them any medication. But what I started doing was I started really educating people throughout COVID. That's when I started getting busy on social media. it was pretty funny because I would post certain things, but then or I call people, email them, but as soon as I post, something about wellness or even a picture of my healthy lunch, then the phone would start ringing. But I would post things about how this is very likened to the Spanish flu back in the 1900s. And they still never haven't, they don't still to this day don't really have an answer for what happened and why it happened. But there was a study that showed how people who underwent chiropractic care, um, there were, I think it was 600 people went to the medical doctor for treatment. Okay. And out of those 600 people, 70 died. Now, out of 100 people went to the chiropractor and they all ended up being healthy. So a smaller sample size, but the point is getting the immune system working, functioning better is going to give you a better outcome. And because I kept preaching that and also showing that, and it was interesting because, I had people would come into my office and they wouldn't shake my hand, but they let me adjust them. And so I was in my mind, I'm thinking, what sense does that make? You don't shake, but I'm having my hand all over your body, all over your face. Of course, I sterilized my hands and kept everything clean. I think I have tendonitis from all the cleaning of my table. But really helping people who've been coming in for a long time, whether they had the flu or they had the sniffles or, fever, and even when you cough a lot, that's going to make the ribs in your chest come out of place. So by addressing all that, I also have a technique of acupressure where I push on the sinus points in the nose, the lymph duct where it drains from your head into your chest cavity, as well as the embryologic soft spot on top of your head, can help clear out your sinuses and help you heal better. So everybody was really appreciative of that. And, it was really the day that I started doing more meditating. So I made myself a schedule at the very beginning of COVID when it was supposed to be only last 2 weeks. And here we are 2 years later of different healthy things I can do. So I wouldn't just go into the Netflix land, or alcohol or sweets, this quarantine thick people have been putting on. But really, and it was about exercising, organizing my house. I was spending time outside grounding, which I didn't talk about earlier, getting fresh air and actually taking your shoes off and putting your feet in the dirt to help get rid of that electromagnetic stress and connect with the earth as well, 30 minutes a day. Vitamin D with sunshine. But the day that I did start meditating, start journaling and said, you know what, COVID is not going to control my life, my livelihood, or how my office is going to operate. And my clientele, the patients went from, I was blessed to have 30%. I don't say I only had because that's limiting. And some people didn't have anything. And I went back up to full speed the same week. And I've been that way ever since.
Yeah, it's interesting because like just your positivity and your visualization that you had and your overall outlook that started with you, it's like it was a beacon of hope for those people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was a
yeah.
light, you know what I mean? It was a light and they saw that, and they saw that they came in and I'm certain they were very excited to come in and see you and be a part of that energy. You know what I'm saying? You were putting out there,
Mm-hmm,
man.
mm-hmm.
Because I know you just saying like, don't get me started, man. I'm gonna tell you something, man. Because I'm always down for some good conspiracies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But goddamn, I saw this thing today. I saw this thing today, Dr. Jason. Like it was called my brother Lavelle Rouser sent it to me, and it was called the 1976 swine flu. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I'm gonna tell
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna send it to you. You know what I'm talking about? You already know what
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, yep.
I watched that thing. Yeah, yeah. I watched that thing, man. And it was you take what's going on now back then and they're right next to each other. It's just that back
Mm-hmm.
then they had old whack 1970 graphics as opposed to
Right.
the nice fresh graphics today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same playbook. And I'm just like, I'm just like, yo, what I'm saying, it amazes me, you know what I mean? Um, how the same plays going over and over again, and people just go for it. But it's like two sides of it though, because it's kind of like I feel as though now more people, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
are being like, nah, I don't believe nothing what you talking about. I personally
Now,
feel
like
as
the
though
past month or
I'm
two,
seeing
right?
that more people. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
now.
People
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
for me,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
stuck to the
Now,
same.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've stuck to the same story the whole time. Like, and I tell people too. They ask me, they're like, "What do you really think?" The people who some people, you can't really, they don't really want to know the truth. You can't handle the truth. Um, and like for example, when I tell people, you know, I say dairy is the devil. Like, what do you mean? How am I going to get calcium in my bones? My
Straight
bones are
up.
going to be weak. You know, I'm like, there's twice as much calcium in almond milk than there's that. Or how about some spinach or some broccoli or some kale? Or, I can go down the list. Even orange juice, even if that has sugar in it, that's so much better than dairy. But guess what? We don't have, sorry, I'm getting excited. Okay, let me breathe. But we don't have Michael Jordan with an almond milk mustache, right? They don't have the marketing behind it. And even when they have all these commercials about what to do for COVID and all these things. I said, what if they had commercials where they talked about go get some vitamin D, get some sunshine, not close yourself in a room and be scared of everything. And again, that positive mental attitude that we're talking about, your mentality, if you're going to be fearful, that's going to manifest. It's kind of like they say there's three different types of people three different personality types. One person's going to tell you exactly what's on their mind. One person's going to stay silent. The other person's going to agree with you. Okay, whatever you say. The people who get cancer the most are the people who are silent and the people who are just yes men and agree with what you're saying. So if you're going to be fearful and closed up, but if they had changed to, get some vitamin D, call a friend, do some of these other things, these natural things, stay away from sugar and sweets. I'm gonna show you guys this picture. Hopefully you guys can see it pretty well. Um, this was one of my team members, and these were her ankles. Okay, and we talked about nutrition with her, and she was overweight and she wanted to lose weight, and so we just started talking about inflammatory things in her body, things she could eliminate from her diet even without exercise. So after she changed her diet and just cut out milk and dairy, these are her ankles now. It's the same woman, no exercise. So from this to this, okay, that's just no milk. Okay, so I have another lady. She had a vertigo problem, dizziness, and I explained to her how milk causes a lot of mucus in your body, and she had been to ear, nose, and throat doctor. No, her doctor had sent her to her ear, nose, and throat doctor to check on her sinuses. Ear, nose, and throat doctor didn't even look at her sinuses. I started adjusting her neck, all those nerves that go to the lungs, as well as the upper part of the brain and the face. And then I did the acupressure technique, and then I started talking to her about dairy. She said, I have 3 yogurts every day. I said, you need to cut that out. Or think about it. She stopped the yogurt, dizziness got a lot better just from that simple nutritional change. So, the there's so much money in victimization, yes, big pharma, I'll say it, I'll say the words. But again, that's the bark from a tree could be bee pollen honey, doesn't necessarily have to be that pill you find at CVS or Walgreens.
Yeah. See, I'm I'm happy you talked about that because you know how we go. So that's how it is
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
Polka Dot
And I've seen
Rabbit
that change
podcast.
in
We
you.
want you to
We've
go
known each other a long
down.
time, you know so there's a lot
Mhm.
of habits we both have gotten rid of over time,
We want you to.
yeah.
Yeah. We want you to go down the rabbit hole, man. Get the information yourself, just like the good doctor has given us today. Get that information yourself. And we our conversations we've had, and I'm gonna start breaking it down now, but some of this conversation we had it would crack YouTube in half, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
start talking
exactly.
about this stuff out because and I want real talk because that's what we're here to do. That's what we do at the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, man. We go down the rabbit hole. So my thing is
Mhm.
like this, and you had a point because of how much money did we made. in the way that this world and the people that rule this world. My homeboy Tony calls them the architects, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and these
Masters.
people
Yeah.
that do this now, yeah. They have such ill intent and soullessness and a disconnect from nature, in
Mm-hmm.
which all of their they all manifest into this world that we see today. You know what I mean? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I always tell people like I always talk about like I always tell people how we get through this is simplicity and sustainability. I'm gonna keep on talking about it. I talk about
Mm-hmm.
that because we were programming to groom into liking all this stuff, all this glittery stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
All this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
know, I like to use analogies, different things with like Thanos. You know what I mean? In the
Oh
Marvel
man.
movie, that
Mm-hmm.
Joker killed 500 million people. Snapped and took all the people on the planet, and then he sat down to his farm. You know what I'm saying? A farm. Put up his
Mm-hmm.
armor. You know what I'm saying in
Yep.
his farm, and you know my point is that and another good. I think I talked about this recently. Like one of the guys off the Big Short,
Mm-hmm.
the movie The Big Short. He was the guy that made all the money off of that. He
Yeah.
they asked him what his portfolio consists of. He was saying most of it was land that's attached to water. He said, out of all the millions, probably billions of dollars he made, that was one of the biggest things because if you have just the natural resources, you have that sun on you, nature, food, water, you know what I'm saying, and you got the right mindset. I
Mm-hmm.
tell people all the time, you living in the country, like you living in the country in which you got everything on a farm, you got all this stuff. How
Mm-hmm.
did the heebie-jeebies affect you at all? It didn't. You got everything.
Right. Right.
You
Yep.
got to be
Yep.
part of this matrix. You got to be a part of this matrix for it to affect you. And now they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to make people that ain't all saucified up look crazy because and they're trying to push them out matrix.
Right.
And the
Right.
people that
Mm-hmm.
took the and whoever wants to do what they do, it's all good. That's your we whatever you want to
You
do,
do
that's all
you.
good. Not say anything negative, but the people that did, they trying to keep them. Now the matrix is cool, and they're like, oh, you can't come in this matrix, and they're trying to
Right.
separation. See, we
Mm-hmm.
used to think, us growing up our age, we used to be like despised, like just having to deal with racism and stupid stuff like that, because it was
Mm-hmm.
something they had to grow up with.
Right.
But now it's like a lot of people think that racism is whack, and that's going, eventually it's going to be going away anyway. But now they're trying to throw another monkey wrench in it to keep us divided.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly. It's just so they can, yeah,
It's
keep
always
us
something to
while
keep
they're
us.
doing their thing, while they're architecting, right? They got us fighting down here, you know.
Yeah. Man, I think about and I think about just like the world history, like from the time frame of when we as melanated beings lost control and and lost memory and lost everything, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. History.
And a lot of people understand is that the reason why ancient Egypt was built is because those people knew that their downfall was coming. I'm talking about the Black African, Egyptians.
Mm-hmm.
They knew that their time frame was coming to an end. The cycle was coming to an end, so they had to go there and they had to build in stones. And they had to write down as much as they can. They had a time frame to do that. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? And people don't realize on the next level is that a lot of people, a lot of those papyruses, all that information, a lot of these people that rule the world, they can read that. They had people that interpreted, you know what I'm saying, and they using these skills that we used to know, and they're
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
using these powers, all these different things to control things. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, and it's like the thing that's interesting to me is just because you can see that unfolding. You could see, you could feel the energy. Like even me coming up there, I'm being in Virginia now, the energy in Virginia is not anything like it was when I was growing up. I know I have a different perspective because I'm older, of
Right.
course, but also besides that, it's a whole different energy, and that's what's happening right now, being the age of Aquarius. You know what I'm saying? All these solar flares. This is a what's that? What is it? What is it? You can a transformation. This is a wellness transformation for
Yeah,
humans.
yeah,
For the
exactly,
human
exactly.
race. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
and I think it's very important that we're having this talk now because anybody that's in their right mind and or even is trying to get better, everything you gave a blueprint, literally, of all they could have to do is walk through these steps. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Walk through these steps and they can get back on board in which the way the universe and the creator wants us all to live. You know, you know,
Yeah, that's why I call
that's
it.
what this is all about.
Yeah, and that's why I call it transformation. Is because it's all about one step. It's not, you don't have to do all those things tomorrow or tonight.
Mm-hmm,
Pick one.
mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah,
and if you
yeah,
can't,
yeah, yeah.
meditate for 5 or 10 minutes. Try 5 breaths. Try 5 seconds. With the lights off, and that will
Mm-hmm,
can change your day, change your
mm-hmm,
cortisol levels. And again, it's one small step
mm,
to a bigger goal, and just put one foot in front of the other. And then also, each one teach one. Bring
mm-hmm.
somebody with you. Share your knowledge with them as well,
Yeah,
and how you made the changes.
that's
And
it.
you encourage somebody
Mm-hmm,
else.
mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you accept it, you're gonna be my resident doctor on the Polka Dot
Love it,
Rabbits
love it.
podcast.
We just chopping it up. We keep going down the hole.
You know what I'm
More and more
saying?
rabbits.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm
You know
saying?
how
And
it is to get a hold of me sometimes. And you said
because
I got one this Thursday. I'll be there. I got my brother right here because we talk the
yeah,
same
yeah,
talk,
yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah,
we
yeah,
got
yeah.
to keep spreading it.
Yeah, man. And truth be told, it's just that we need good brothers out and sisters like you out here that is also a good representation of of what it is to be an acupuncturist, a chiropractorist. You know what I'm saying? We need good, intelligent, articulate, individuals to to represent because a lot of people don't understand there's a bunch of Dr. Jasons out there, you know what I'm saying, that are, you know what I mean? This, you know, this something that is still growing, you know what I mean?
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
all these people with this type of mindset, holistic mindset, dealing with every aspect, and this, I can only imagine. I tell people all the time, man, if I would have, you know, been able to have this stuff when I was younger, man,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Hmm.
You know, but I got it now, and I was supposed to have it now. You know, and
Right.
now I've been
Exactly.
putting up, all your links. I putting up all your links all day, all throughout the podcast, I should say. Is there do you want to go ahead and give a shout out how people can and I'll get a shout out to how people can contact you if they want to talk to you, if they want to get and he's in Atlanta, everybody, you know what I'm saying? He's in ATL. He up in what they call the area at? Off Johnson
East
Ferry,
Cobb,
right?
East Cobb, Marietta area. I'm
Oh,
right at the
East
corner.
Cobb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
East
East
Cobb,
Cobb
Marietta, and
area. Yeah, yeah.
Roswell. Mhm. Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
email me
So
directly, but we have a website where we have a link that goes right to our front desk as well. So they can give you information whether you need to find out how to make an appointment. Our website has a lot of information about our team, our services, whether it's from acupuncture to cold laser to the infrared sauna we have here, as well as a little bit more about the backstory and why we do what we do here, how we do it. And I have another chiropractor, Dr. Morgan Hulskamp, who I've been trained for about 4 or 5 years, who, I trust implicitly with all my team members will not run away. And a lot of people, everybody loves her. Some people have switched over to her. We do extremities, knees, ankles, shoulders, which makes us different because a lot of chiropractors don't do your ankles per se, but your ankles, that's the foundation of your body, not only if you're doing karate and kicking, but just walking around all day long. And the bones got placed because of either micro trauma or macro trauma. It doesn't have to be a car accident. It could be something as simple as wearing the wrong pair of shoes or those heels that you ladies like to wear. I always say heels and CrossFit are very good for chiropractic businesses. But definitely reach out to me on all those platforms. You can email me directly if you have questions. The telephone number is 678-352-1948 if you need to contact us by phone. And, we're here to help. We treat everybody like family here. I act like I'm working on my own mother, sister, brother. And, I'm blessed to say that I've worked on many generations, of team members. Ones that were 9 when I first met them, and now they're 22 or they're 14 and they're 30 having their first child. And I get to adjust the baby, a couple hours after it's born, 6 days after it's born. I treat everybody from 6 days all the way to my oldest team member was 96 years old. And I helped him get to his 97th birthday with his 38 grandchildren. And those are the type of blessings that make this not, a job. It's a passion. It's a lifestyle. And I like to help promote it and teach other people how to live it as well.
That's dope, man. That is dope, man. And yeah, that's dope. And that's what we gotta promote here, man. You know what I'm saying? We gotta promote healthy lifestyles, positivity. You know what I'm saying? We gotta change, we have to break negative crystallization negativity aura around this globe, man. And we can all do this. Like I said before, I don't care about race, gender, orientation, none of that stuff. If you get it, you get it. We need to work together to make this place better. So, in all of that, and saying all that, I definitely appreciate your time, and we definitely, what I'm saying, let's link up some more and deal with a different topic. We can keep on just giving this information to
Yeah.
the people, bro. So
Sounds good. And I appreciate you, Brother
you know,
Zoza, man. You, you
so
you are a beacon yourself, and make sure you get that book, everybody. And this brother has been on this path for a while, and he's well read and well has a great knowledge base. And I always learn something new just in casual conversation. So I'm looking forward to more of these, and you guys stay tuned in. Polka Dot Rabbit Podcast.
that's it. I think you're gonna like the second book even more, Dr. Jason. The second book I actually talk about once I became conscious, my experience. What I mean, dealing with a lot of that in my own mindset and stuff that I've what I'm saying, my
Yeah,
my
that's the next
own
chapter, right? The whole
my own as care as yeah, it's KRS One says my philosophy. What I'm saying? So that's it for
Yep.
me, brother. That's it
All
for
right.
me. I appreciate you,
Appreciate
man,
you.
everything you did. And what I'm saying? And I'm gonna go ahead and end on that again. What I'm saying, yourbrozo.com. You can get the book here. We always looking for assistance with promotion, everything. So my cash app is down there, YBZLLC. You know what I'm saying? Throw me some donations so we can keep more and more get this thing running on a next level. We definitely looking for the assistance there. And follow us on IG, Facebook, Your Brozo, the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast. Besides that, I'm out of here. Dr. Jason, thank you very much. And until next time, peace.
All right. Peace.